Alright everyone, I've done the deeper look at this player already and said he was being linked with him, and the link I found is by Anfield Watch from Bent's Box Sacks from the 1st of March. It's a while ago, but it's a player that might have just went under your radar at the time. So obviously the player I'm on about is Saba Kharebashvili. He's the Georgian wonder kid, left back, who looks really promising from his stats. And apparently we've been, according to Anfield Watch, exploring a move for him. Just get rid of this advert on the side here. They say here Richard Hughes wants to bolster the left back, and he'd be eyed as a future prospect rather than one for now. Well, he's currently 16, so I would be very surprised that he's earmarked for the number 1 slot. Now they also say here he's attracted the attention of Barcelona and Real Madrid. If that's true, then it's pretty detailed interest. It says he's played 28 appearances for the first team and registered 3 assists, but that's also from the 1st of March. He beat the previous record for the youngest player for the appear in a UEFA club competition. He beat Yusufa Moukoko, who was 16 years and 17 days for Dortmund. So, what did they say here that I didn't already tell you? Intelligent left back, competent defender, 7 defensive duels per 90 minutes he averages and wins 61% of them. He averages 4 interceptions per 90 minutes, and his energy means he can make 6.6 recoveries per 90 minutes. He's grown up in an academy that produces technically gifted players. One of the players that they mentioned that I told you about was Kvaratskhelia. So, very technically gifted player. Competent on the ball and a brilliant passing range and vision. If you go through the article video that it said in the deeper look, you'll have realised I've already covered that. He can play in a few different roles. He played 9 games in the central midfield role, and I would not be surprised if he ends up playing there more permanently. If you think of Joshua Kimmich, who went from right back to more of a defensive midfield role. It does mention here as well, Kharebashvili wouldn't be able to join us until his 18th birthday, which would happen in September 26. But we can arrange a pre-transfer now, apparently, and wrap up the signature before anybody else. It also mentions here the academy's produced like Kvaratskhelia and Georgi Mamratashvili, and I've already told you about this. They've sold academy products to Newcastle United, Bayern Munich and Porto. They produce more than half the players in the Georgia's Euro 24 squad. Me, personally, if I was going to be asked, is he worth a punt? I'd say very much yes. You've got a left back who's competent, creative, who could also fill in potentially as a centre back or the type of six that Slot wants. I mean, I know I'm not the biggest fan of relying on versatile players. Players need consistency, but when you've got somebody that looks so competent in all of them, from what people are saying, it's got to be worth a look. And to agree a pre-contract now for, say, the end of next season, I think it's probably an opportunity you shouldn't really take up. I know FSG don't like to gamble, but if you could sign him and then even loan him out, let him develop, you could have an absolute world-class defensive player there. I mean, imagine we could pick him up for, say, I don't know how much it would cost. Say £10 million. Okay? But imagine we could pick him up, develop him, became world class, and we got, on the premise, say he went on loan for 2 seasons and we got him back. Say we got 15 years out of him. Or we got 5 years and sold him for 100 million. I mean, this is just all hypothetical fees that probably may not be achievable or realistic. I'm just giving you an idea. But even if you get a player for over a decade, and he could be the next, I hate using this, comparing players to other players, but for those that do, say he was like the kind of the next Maldini, I don't think he would be. Very different, from the sounds of it, very different players, but that's that level of stature. Okay? Would that not be worth that 10 million? Because you only think we're looking at the likes of Milos Kirkus now for 50 million. Just an interesting point, and it just goes to show that even the video I did on FSG and why they're not brilliant kind of reinforces it. We don't make these type of moves. This is the sort of thing you'd see Brighton doing. And what is the harm for any club to spot the next potential superstar, the next player that could produce an impact like Messi or Ronaldo, the next player that could produce an impact like, say, Luka Modric, the next player that could produce an impact like Erling Haaland? If you can spot a player that can produce similar results for you, is it worth a look? Should any club think because they're like 16, 17 and not the finished article, should the bigger sides still take a notice of that? We're in a stage where we've got to be careful in what we buy and how much we spend, and we have to develop more. Is this more the route that we should be looking at? Instead of spending 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million, why can't FSG take that gamble? Why can't Richard Hughes say, look, we can get this wrapped up now? Why can't he go to Georgia, say tomorrow, meet with their representatives and thrash out a deal and get him signed? What is the reasoning against doing that? We'd be securing a future left back. So say we've brought in Kirkes, okay, just for all intents and purposes. He's what, 21? I'm gonna have to check that. I'm sure he's 21. Right. He's 21. He would be 22 in November. So say we've got him a 22-year-old left back. This kid turns 18 in September 26. Okay? So just after he turns 18, Milos Kirkes would be 23. Why can't he be developed to be the future, the successor, the following on? Similar to how we've got Conor Bradley. Yes, I've gone from news to saying, why don't we do this? Maybe that's an idea for a video to upload. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to use this as a further example, and somebody else as well that's been linked with, supposedly. But yeah, that's the news on that potential link to Saba Kharebashvili, the Georgian wonder kid, I suppose would be the best way to describe him. But thank you very much.